Anonymous Social Networking on the Tor Network. This dissertation focuses on social networks on the darknet. But what is the darknet? Imagine the internet as a circle. On the internet, there are several services and applications such as the World Wide Web, where you can browse websites using a web browser. Other services in the internet include, for example, email, SSH, and voice over IP. One can imagine the internet is divided into clearnet and darknet. All services are available on both. Services in the darknet are called hidden services. Like on the clearnet, some services are easier to find, while other services are more difficult to find. The spectrum of finding services from easy to difficult can be described as the continuum from surface to deep. That being said, it is important to remember that there is not only one darknet. Among various darknets, the largest, best known and commonly referred to is the Tor network. This context affords anonymity to its users not only on a visual and discursive level, but also on a technical level. Now let's take a look at the browser. For conventional connections to websites, a direct connection is established from the client to the web server. When using the Tor browser, a connection is established via 3 randomly selected nodes, where every node always only knows the direct predecessor or successor. In the first of my 3 studies, the goal is to gain primary insight into the structural characteristics and affordances of a social network site on the Tor network and observe communication in this anonymous online environment. Based on the theoretical model of anonymous communication, where anonymity is understood not as a binary state, but as a continuum reaching from fully anonymous to fully identified, this work proposes a gradual overview of a spectrum reaching from real-name social network sites on the clearnet to anonymous social network sites on the dark web, and takes into consideration the structural characteristics and affordances. In my second study, I am interested in how private information is managed in this anonymous context of communication. The contribution is anchored in the theoretical context of Petronio's communication privacy management theory, with the goal of extending the theoretical framework to the context of the darknet. In light of Petronio's boundary metaphor, I focus on self-disclosure, that is, the boundary permeability of users and their contributions to the social network site. In particular, I examine the relationship of boundary permeability to visual, discursive, and technical anonymity. Since self-disclosure pertaining to an individual and staying anonymous can be considered to be in dialectical tension to one another, I further examine the relationship of the amount of contributions associated on a user profile to the permeability of the boundary. Finally, I employ the foregoing proposed spectrum of real-name social networking sites on the clearnet to anonymous social networking sites on the darknet to examine the effects of various types of anonymity on user behavior, and in particular, benign and toxic online disinhibition. Because previous studies indicate heterogeneous effects of visual and discursive anonymity and disinhibition, a closer look at different types of anonymity, including technical, thus seems promising.